Welcome to vlog number 73, where we have an extremely special guest, Nathan Ellman-Bell. So yeah, I mean, I wanted to have Nathan for a while. He's a very, very good friend, and also my, he's the drummer in the band, so I thought we should talk.
Yeah.
He's also my roommate.
Yes.
So we hang, just saying. Cool. So yeah, I kind of wanted to talk and just ask you, like, because I mean, when we play a lot, but just like, I mean, I'm curious to just ask, like, how did you get so good, and what was the process, and how do you see it, like, if you zoom out, you'd be like, oh, that was a really good advice, and things that I was like checking out at a certain point. And you can talk about jazz, and you can talk about different elements, because you play jazz, but you also do a lot of stuff like other styles of music, and you're killing it in different like genres. So I'm just curious to like talk a little bit about that.
Cool. Well, thank you. Yeah, I guess I started playing rock when I first started playing drums, and so like some of my influences will always be things like Green Day, like rock bands like that, and bands like Real Big Fish. Like I used to really be into ska and that kind of stuff. And then from there, I had teachers that introduced me to Art Blakey and, more of like the jazz, Blue Note era jazz, and just, and Ahmad Jamal, and didn't stress, but just were like, check this out. And a lot of it just sounded super modern to me and was really inspiring.
Yeah.
But I also just kind of always was inspired by the bands that I've heard, the rock bands and stuff. So going to school, I was introduced to a lot of like freer music and improvised music.
Mm-hmm.
When I went to school at Peabody in Baltimore, and that was the first time I think I just played, completely free without chords or time, and got into some of that music, which is I think a lot of people call just noise music, or just sort of like bashing. There's no chordal or information.
Mm-hmm.
And now I guess I like all of it, and so I've never been able to just say, okay, I just want to play like swing, or I just want to play rock, I want to do everything, which is a challenge.
For sure. And I think, for you also, you actually do it, like you play like what, 12 gigs a week sometimes?
It's okay. Sometimes it's a little...
It's like literally, right?
Crazy.
It's not a joke. Like you play like 12 to like, I don't know, gigs, like you play like 3 gigs a day, probably.
Yeah,
like not every day, but like between 2 to 4 gigs a day.
Fair, yeah.
Yeah, that's fair to say.
So like, it's great. I have things like a weekly church gig.
Yeah.
So returning to that, gives me a certain grounding, like with, playing pocket.
Yeah.
I know that I'm going to do that every week. And so, and I used to do a weekly gig at this place, Apotec,
mm-hmm.
Chinatown, just doing something like where I was playing pocket every week and like kind of focusing on that really helped.
So let me just like open a parenthesis. So like when you talk about pocket, like,
okay,
because it's like we can talk about so many things, but just like, could you give me a specific exercise or things that like you would like? Let's say, okay, you have this like this church gig or the appetite thing happening. You'd be like, okay, I want to dive in. So like technically, like what are the things that you'd be like, okay, let me check this out, and like physically, like what would you check rhythm wise, or like so I can like practice.
For sure, yeah. So I would go to listen to bands that well, actually, I guess I can go back. When I first started playing in this hip-hop band in Baltimore, I listened to a lot of the Roots,
mm-hmm.
Because Questlove is just, one of the best drummers ever, and really kind of, when I started listening to the Roots, it gave me that kind of concept of like, he's not a drum machine, but he plays time so accurately, and that I like think about that as like a point of reference for pocket.
Yeah.
Wait, so.
So yeah, okay. So let's talk about. So I just want to like to be like, after we hang right now, I want to like go to the guitar or drums or piano and be like, okay, I'm gonna do your exercise. Like, so give me something that like very specific, that like you know, or yeah, exercise or like things that you're like be like, okay, I have half an hour and I want to like shed this. Like, like, give me something that I can be like concrete, you know. Except, I mean, of course, listening and diving in.
And playing along I think is like super important.
Yeah. Okay.
Like you could put on a record, and just play along to it, like put on a James Brown record
and play
and just play along and try to match the feel. And if you're a drummer, specifically like playing the hi-hat pattern that the drummer plays and trying to like lock every element in.
It's really interesting. I used to like do this stuff when I was like starting guitar more, you know, like playing and trying to like play solo with, you know, my whatever, you know, different bands. And then I thought like it's a waste of time, and then I like got into like transcribing the solos more and like being like that. And I was hanging with Adam Rogers a couple of months ago, and he told me like that one of the things he does the most is like playing along with records. And then I started doing it again, and it's amazing. It's really hard, and like he would put like this like super fast Miles quintet from the '60s, like a blues, and you know we'll just like trade, and like I mean, you know, like they destroy it. I mean, it's like hair. I mean, it's like fucking amazing.
Yeah. And
it's like you're trying to match, and it's like, and the intensity and the intention and the accurate. I mean, it's just so good. And yeah, so now I understand it. I kind of reappreciate it, like doing that.
I know what you mean. I kind of had that too, where for a while I'm like, I don't know what the point is kind of this, except that it's fun.
It's
I don't know.
fun.
It's always fun, but I don't know if this is like actually helping me like concrete way. But but like you said, like when you try to match the intensity and in everything, that's
it's good. It's really good. Yeah, and like what I guess like. Would you like loop a specific song, or would you just play the record? Like, I don't know.
It depends. Sometimes I'll put on one song and play the same song for 10 times, but other times I'd play the whole record. But I also, if I had a half an hour, I might also just put on the metronome and do an exercise where I have the metronome on like, I don't know, 60 or something, and I try to play different subdivisions, like play a beat and then maybe play like quarter notes with the hi-hat, and then play eighth notes, and then play quarter notes, play quarter note triplets, play eighth note triplets, while keeping like a super simple bass drum snare drum pattern, just like 1 and 3 on the bass drum and snare drum, and then play hi-hat, play different subdivisions, and just try to really lock into the metronome. That's something that's also really fun to do that I think helps.
And you also do sometimes. I hear you.
Like
I guess this is kind of close to that, but just like really slow. Like you do 30 or 20 or something. Like,
oh yeah, sometimes I'll practice really with the metronome really slow.
Yeah. So like, I remember hanging with Ben Monder, and he showed me this exercise. Basically, it's kind of like what you're saying. So he'll put the metronome on as slow as 10, which is like ridiculous. I mean, it's like a click every 6 seconds. But I mean, you start like around 60, you know. And I think I kind of showed like the vlog hang like some of these exercises a while ago. But just like, I guess like putting the metronome on and trying to like really hit, like cover the metronome basically. And this is something that Ari Honing is also talking about. Just like really hitting like on the spot, and then when you just play it slower, it's just much harder. So like with 30. So I'm just curious, I guess, like how do you think about? Do you think about subdivisions, or do you feel it? Like sometimes I try to do both.
Yeah, totally. I try to do both too. I try to not think about counting in between and just feeling the space and seeing if I can just internalize how that space feels.
Yeah.
But I also want to be able to play subdivisions within it and not feel afraid to do that. So I think it's important to also practice playing different subdivisions and maybe like improvise, kind of randomizing them too.
Yeah.
So that you're flexible,
For sure. I was talking with a friend of mine, amazing keyboard player, Itamar Gorfin. I can't say his last name, I'm sorry. I'll write it so it's clear. And we were making like this really fun trap beat
Nice.
last night,
Uh-huh.
and he was saying something really interesting because like basically like we trap, like people need to feel it, like they don't really know like what we're doing there, like in the sense of all the rhythms, and like for us, like we can see the the thing, and we can like, oh, I'm going to do that and that, and we know exactly what's happening there. But it's like really interesting because it's just like it's gonna be fire if they feel it, and it's like very clear if it's happening or it's not happening, like for the audience, you know what I mean? Like, I mean, is the beat dope or not, kind of,
Yeah.
And in a way, it's really deep because it's like they don't really know what's happening there, but they will respond like in a kind of physical respond, and in that sense, like I don't know, I feel like you guys like drummers have that like magic that you can like. That people can be like going to a show and be like, wow, just I felt it, That's why I like playing with you. Like I think like you bring that magic, and I don't think a lot of people bring that magic to that extent. I mean, there are amazing drummers, of course, but I just like I feel that magic, and I'm like, and it's really hard to express it. You just like wow, it just feels good, but it's really hard. You know what I mean? And it's just really hard to like say like, yeah, I'm doing the triples, but it's not. It's so deep, like, and it's just like, and I'm really always curious about like breaking things and understanding how it happens. Like why is it good? Okay, it feels good. How does it feel good? Like like,
right, and you can break things down mathematically, too. Like, especially if you're talking about a lot of like. I don't know if trap is the best example, but like more like Jay Dilla-esque beats where it's kind of like wavy vibe where it's like the half swung, half straight thing where it's like in between.
Yeah.
But there's like some things are constant.
Yeah.
And you're like, man, like I don't know why this feels so good, but it does. But actually, I listened to this like really interesting this guy that was talking about Ableton and actually breaking this stuff down and being like, "Do you check that out?"
Dude,
like,
I didn't see the
forget
video.
his name. I like, yeah, you can make a link to it or something. It's really cool. But he's like, "Let me break down quintuplet swing and septuplet swing, that thing." And he's like, "Here, I'm doing it on Ableton." So literally, it's like math, And
yes.
And he's like, "I'm gonna emulate this Erykah Badu beat."
Yeah.
And he does it, and it feels exactly the same way.
Feels really,
like, oh yeah. That's how you do it. It's like you are able to boil it down to like
right, totally.
subdivisions.
I just did it like a couple of days ago. A friend of mine, another great guitar player, Will, just showed me that. He's like also a great producer, and he showed me like basically you take quintuplets and septuplets, and you on Ableton you write it, like you write.
You write five.
Like, exactly, and you push it into like one bar, and then you just eliminate, so it's like feels like the 1 and the 3, but it's like slightly
exactly. Yeah, and then I think the guy like does that, and then he moves then he displaces the whole thing.
Okay.
Moves it, I guess, a little bit. Like moves the first hit a little bit forward, so then it's like a little delayed.
Yeah.
And you're listening to it, and you're like, it sounds late. Or something sounds late, and you can't really tell if it's like the hi-hat or the snare drum or something.
Wow, that's so.
But that being said, like when you're playing, it's also you can think about that, but it's a lot to think about. Like I'd rather not be like thinking about all the quintuplet swing. It's just like feel,
Yeah.
So it's more like, I guess in that way, like relating to what you're playing, relating to the bass player, like where they're putting the note. And then deciding like if you're gonna be right on the beat with them or ahead or
I guess so. Like basically, if we just like conclude this like discussion a little bit, so I would say we both like practicing a lot of these elements, and then like we understand them and try to like not just be able to execute it as a practice, like we try to really internalize it, so it's like really a part of our soul and body. So then when we play, we can hopefully like not think about it the same way that we drive a car and we don't think about it driving.
Exactly.
And there's a lot of information that we process, but still we can be like talking to a friend and having a deep conversation while actually driving to Milwaukee or something. So that's kind of wild, and that's what happens with music in that sense, I think. Okay, I'm gonna stop now because like we will not stop.
Right. Yeah.
But I'm gonna. I think what we can do is just like think about a few elements, and I'd love to like just like talk about more specific stuff, and we can just like bring Nathan again.
Okay, cool.
And
yeah, it's hard to like stay on one.
Yeah, it's just like I know. It's like always like yeah. Sometimes I like write like a question like so I see the question and be like, okay, I'm gonna try to do this. It's really hard,
stay on task.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's really fun.
Yeah, of course. So, do you have like something that you want them to check out? Like I don't know, like a video or like a project. You started a new project as well, right?
I started a new project.
Can they check it out?
Not yet, really. I don't really have any content.
Okay,
online.
so
except for you could follow me on Instagram and
Yes.
I post videos.
Here's the Instagram thing.
Is gonna be there.
I know, right? It's like it's there. Okay.
So yeah. Aside from that, I've been listening to the new Lewis Cole album, which is really amazing. So I'd definitely recommend checking that out.
Hell yeah.
He's an amazing drummer, multi-instrumentalist. So.
That's the dude with the skills, right?
Yeah.
So good.
So good.
Yeah, so good. Cool. All right. Thanks, guys.
Cool.
Please check Nathan's stuff. We're gonna play a bunch of shows in the US, so if you can come say hi. We're gonna open up. I was just talking about it the last vlog. We're opening up for White Denim, so we're doing a big tour in September and October, and Nathan will be on all the shows. So it'll be fun to like have you guys say hi if you're in the different cities. I need to update the website, but it's on my Instagram. I'll do it today, so it's there as well, and you should put it as well.
All right. Yes, we'll do.
I'll send you the thing. Cool. Thanks, and see you guys soon.
Bye.
Bye.